Hello and welcome to the King's Forum podcast show. I have a very special guest today, Charlotte. Hi, Charlotte.
Hiya.
Welcome. First
Thank
time on
you.
my show.
Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome, and I'm so glad to have you on the show to talk about your mental health journey and
Yes,
things you're doing to spread awareness for mental health. So, Charlotte,
definitely.
when did you realize you had a mental health problem?
So probably just around the age of 13. So I lost my uncle at 12, which triggered my whole journey. So he actually committed suicide. So I found out when I was 12. And as well as like grieving like for the loss, I then began to question my own mental health and was I happy? Was I not? And yeah, it just really spiraled. And until I was probably about 17, it was something I really struggled with. So I think the realizing was definitely the loss of him. And then I suffered with depression and anxiety. And I got diagnosed with those. So I was just going through like CBT therapy. I
Yeah.
was doing group therapy sessions, and I had one-to-one. I was constantly going to see my GP. So yeah, I'd say it was probably shortly after his death that I realised that I wasn't very well.
Okay. How is it impacting you day to day?
Um, at the time, massively. I didn't go to school. I studied for my exams from home because I wanted to give up on the whole school thing. I wasn't bothered. And I think when you've lost that motivation for life, like going to school is really nothing. Like you don't care. But my mum and my dad persuaded me to stick at it because it would benefit me in the long run. So I did. So we compromised, and I studied from home most of the time. So I did my GCSEs from home. And then I just went in to take the exam and then came straight home again. So my lifestyle adapted like massively. Um, and then now, not so much because I feel like I'm now able to talk about it and I use that to help me. So I use like if I'm struggling, before I wouldn't say anything and I really would struggle in silence. Whereas now I've got to the point where I can quite openly talk about things. And if one day, for example, I'm feeling particularly
Yeah.
anxious, I'll actually talk about it as a way of getting like through it. Whether it's like speaking to my partner or my mum or whoever it is, that actually helps me more. So I think every now and again, um, I struggle with little things.
Yeah.
For example, anxiety, um, even sometimes feeling a bit low. And when I reflect back to like things that's happened to me, I think, oh, like, is it still there? Is it still
Yeah.
something that's occurring in my life? But I do try my best to talk about it and remember how far I've come to keep me pushing forward.
No, definitely. I was just wondering about you said you were homeschooling and how
Hmm.
lovely that must have felt for you at times because you're not interacting with other children. It's just you
Yeah,
and maybe your a parent or something that was at
yeah.
you.
And especially because of the age I was. So, like, I think I started this probably maybe 15. I was at kind of like a crucial age to be socializing, like parties, going out at weekends. And I didn't want to. I really didn't. It was like my worst nightmare. Um, and like I said, with homeschooling as well, I used to go in like some days the school would allow me to go in, and I used to do like 8 till 11. And I remember thinking that to me now is such a short space of time.
Yeah.
But at the time, I remember feeling like, how am I going to get through this? Like,
Wow.
this is such a long time. Um, and I used to break it down, like, even like minute by minute.
Mm.
And then as soon as 11 o'clock came, like, my mum would pick me up and I'd be like so happy. And then I'd sleep because I was so mentally exhausted from putting myself through that.
Mm.
I'd just go to sleep for the rest of the day, and I really would just be a write-off because I'd had to try and like psych myself up to go. Um, so yeah, by the time that time came to go home, I was exhausted.
Took a lot out of you. I just wonder
Definitely.
what your relationship was like between your family and friends at that point. How was that?
My family, so my initial family unit, my mum, dad, and my sister was really strong. And equally, like now we are just as strong because we've come through so much together. Like we went through this horrible loss, and then it had a massive impact on me. They really pulled me through it. And like I said, now we're still so strong, and we talk about it. We talk about things that I'm doing, like with what I'm doing recently. My parents are really supportive. I suppose maybe a little bit conscious of the fact that it can bring things back for me, make me kind of revisit them like traumatic times, but really supportive. And yeah, we had a really strong unit. We kind of all adapted. Like my mum would leave work to come and get me. She'd like have days off so that she could take me to different appointments, and she'd travel all over to take me to see different people to try and help. So a really good parent, definitely.
A strong network, which you need when you're going through, you're having problems with mental health or anything, to be honest.
Definitely.
Um, yeah, you mentioned CBT and going through therapy. Did that really help you? I know, because CBT is talked about as not being the best, the most effective, and I've
yeah.
myself. So,
I to be honest, overall, I'd say yes. I don't know whether it had something to do with the age I was. I was quite accepting. Being younger, I'd kind of like didn't have as much awareness. Perhaps now, for example, I'd research things and speak to other people, whereas at the time I was a lot younger. So I kind of just accepted it as it was. And yeah, I still use it now, like things that I've learned, for example, like breathing techniques, the changing your view on situations. I still relate to it now, and I pass it on now, like in my job, and even now to family and friends. I always refer back to that and say, like, have you tried thinking about it like this? But yeah, I think possibly my age did have something to do with it, but also I was so desperate to get better. Like I remember just wanting, I used to say to my mum all the time, I just want to feel better. So I think I had that mindset like drilled in me as well. Like, I just want to get better.
No, I hear that, because as adults, we're a lot more self-aware, aren't we, of what work for us and what's gonna get us through it. Because obviously, I had my CBT as an adult, and my awareness of what I needed and what could really help me was there. So yeah, it gets a lot of flack. That's all, from a lot of my friends who used it and myself, who I didn't. For me, it wasn't what I needed at the time, and
I think that's it as well. It needs to be really personalized to exactly what you're needing at that time. And if it doesn't like cover all them topics or areas, it needs to cover everything, doesn't it? And that's like the most important thing of it. You need to feel like you are coming away with something as well.
Oh, definitely. What was the point? Do you remember the point of when you felt like, you know what, I'm starting to feel like me now, and I'm starting to feel like I can, socialize and be myself, and enjoy life more, and then there isn't this dark cloud over me. When was that? Those moments?
It's really random, and I've said this before when I've spoken to other people about it. I literally woke up one morning and I just said to my mom, I'm so fed up of this now. I'm going to change. And I don't know why. I really don't. Like, I just woke up like every other day, but my mindset had completely changed, just massively. I just decided I've got two choices here. I either do something with my life or I don't. And I wasn't prepared to just quit. I wasn't prepared to not do anything. I really wanted to turn it around. Because I'd lost somebody through similar circumstances of the way I was feeling. I knew the effect and the impact it would have on family. And I used to think this all the time, I'm not prepared to let more family go through this. And I've got the chance and the power to change it. So I'm going to. And yeah, so literally from that morning, I just did everything I could, took one day at a time, set myself little goals, surrounded myself with positive people, positive influences, stopped relating to rubbish, whether it was on the TV or on my phone. Just like totally changed my life and just kind of got on with it the best I could.
Oh, that's it, isn't it? It's the mindset. It's the change of mindset and saying, you know what, I don't want to be, living my life like this anymore. I've had enough. And it's having that mindset change, that switch to go off, to be like, look, I want to make the difference in my life. I want to start living the life, I'd seen for myself, and I want to start exploring things.
But it's really hard because now, even when I talk about it and like what you've just said, I feel like for other people, like I'm trying to figure out how we can get other people to that point. Because like you've said, like I felt that exact same thing, like, hang on a minute, I want to do something with my life now. And I'm just like at the moment trying to encourage people and other people to realize that they too can get to that point, and it is more than possible. But it's so challenging. Like I've thought about it for so long. And it still baffles me, like how some people don't ever get to that point, and how I can try and encourage them, and people like yourselves as well have a positive impact to make people realize that they can get to that point as well.
Yeah, but the great thing is when you start doing your coaching courses, and you're going to start seeing how to get things out of people. And that's why we went to therapists, and that's why we got that support, is because it's about, how can I make this change of mindset in this person. So, and it's exactly. A lot of it's through trauma, things go back to your childhood, things that have triggered things, that horrible, your uncle taking his life, and things like that, things I went through, experienced as a child. Those things affect us. And it's, as you said, when you're a child, you're not self-aware, so you don't know how to process emotions, you don't know how to deal with them, so you hold on to them, and then that has an impact on us, and our body going into fight or flight mode, and struggling with these emotions that we've not dealt with for so long as we grow up and go into adolescence, and we become adults, and we've not dealt with, and that's what it is we're not processed. And coming from the background I came from, in my culture, we're told not to, so we're told man up and deal with things. So so you've been told, even though it doesn't feel right, you've been told to do this particular act.
And you trust these people around you as a child, don't you? You trust people easily. You trust your parents, you trust the people that you brought up around, so it's easy to follow what you're taught to believe. And sometimes that's not always the right thing to do.
100%.
But fortunately, we don't realize that until we're older, or until we have struggled. We never realize it at the right time.
But that's why when my friends, and I remember like friends and older siblings always saying to me, oh, you know what, your childhood's the best, and make the most of it when you're young, and you before you become an adult and you become responsible. I look the other way. I look at it as the other way. I love being an adult in the sense of I'm self-aware, and I know me, and I'm not, as a child, and as a as a teenager, you don't know who you want to be, and you're not sure about what you want to do, and all this uncertainty. And don't get me wrong, you still have that in adulthood. I just mean you're more self-aware, and you have
within yourself, aren't you, as a person,
and the experience to deal with these things. So I always say, I'd rather be an adult than think back of my childhood and say be in this whole place of uncertainty all the time.
I know what you mean, exactly.
So you mentioned some things about how you deal with manage your mental health now. Is there anything else that you do, or things that work for you? Because obviously you work in mental health, so I'm sure you may get triggered at times.
So I'd say the first thing, the most important thing to me is my family and friends. I'm so lucky to have a really supportive network of family and friends with me in person, and also like through social media, because I don't live near my family anymore, so we're constantly texting and know that they're always there. So they're probably like the biggest support and the biggest way of helping me. I exercise a lot. I always find exercise help. Even walking, like sometimes I'll just go for a walk, put my headphones in and walk for miles, and before you know it, like you've walked for like 2-3 hours. It's really refreshing. Socializing, depending on how I'm feeling, sometimes if I'm feeling a little bit anxious or just kind of want to be in my safe place at home, I wouldn't. But depending on the feelings, then socializing I always think helps. Meeting new people, and social media as well, if it's used in the correct way. Like watching videos like yourself on your channel, something a bit motivational, something that's insightful, not comparing yourself to others and whatnot. But yeah, definitely surrounding yourself with positive people, I always think is the best way.
Yeah, environment, your support network, your key things, because we all need our foundations. If you want to build anything, you need foundations to build them on, and you have to start with the people you surround yourself and you support what
100%.
network. And I'm lucky, and you are, to have family and friends that check in, every now and then when you're giving back or I'm okay responses to text messages and all of that, and it's actually, are you okay? Really, and all of those things. But definitely your environment's massive. Exercise, I always recommend, even a walk, even when you're not feeling like it. And that
and sometimes, like, sorry, even the little things, like even going to sleep, like it's not a bad thing. I think I've heard different views on things like this, and like how like having a pajama day, like you need to get yourself up, feel motivated. But sometimes it is totally all right to have a day of doing nothing. I've done it many times because your body needs to relax, your body needs to rest. And we don't give it enough credit for that it's actually your body's way of telling you that you need to slow down or you've done too much. And I find it all the time. Like if I've been out for dinner every night for like 3-4 nights, as much as I've enjoyed myself, by the end of it, my body's exhausted, and I feel like mentally exhausted from socializing, from being out. And so on that 5th night or whatever, I might just go to bed early or not do anything for the day if I'm not at work. And I think that's totally all right as well.
No, definitely. We are our own biggest critics, and we're always the hardest on our own selves. Sometimes we just need to go ease up on ourselves, and
definitely
life can be stressful enough. There's no need to beat yourself up about things when they're not quite right. And that's always saying with my and I've said it in other episodes about to-do lists and the pressure we put on trying to achieve things. Even if it's just one thing off that list or 2 things, and you got 10 things on that list, it's something. Some achievement is better than no achievement, so don't beat yourself up about it. There's days you're going to feel a lot more motivated than others, and that's okay. But I think the key thing is to have goals and something to achieve, and that's what it's about, rather than saying, oh no, if you don't do it, then you're not going to be a success. It's more of, you need something to aim for. So that's why
look at how far you've come and whatnot, isn't it, as well?
You need something to gauge your success or how to achieve your goals, so that's why we do that, rather having some structure
100%
in place, rather than just have this bit more of a haphazard approach to trying to achieve. So that's more about it, and that's what I always try and say, let's ease up on ourselves a bit.
Just be a bit kinder to ourselves, definitely.
And that ties into the self-care question. You mentioned that about going for walks. Is there anything else for self-care that works for you? A long shift at work, like today's your day off, what would you do?
Just literally like simple things like having a bath, like just taking time for yourself, like to look after your body. Even like we have like some incense things, so I'll often light them and just literally relax, lay with my eyes closed, listen to calming music. I've recently started yoga, just little things like that, really simple things. And I think that's another thing. People think when we think of self-care, we've got to have a routine and it's really strict. It's not. It can literally be saying to yourself, right, tonight I'm going to have 10 minutes of anything, whether it's sleeping, 10-minute rest, reading, going for a walk, having an early night, like whatever it is, it can be so simple. And I don't think we give enough thought to things like that. As a female, it might be like moisturizing or washing your hair or painting your nails, doing something that makes you feel good about yourself. Retail therapy, online shopping, obviously not all the time, but sometimes it's okay to do things like that and just to look after yourself.
Do a podcast,
Yeah.
all stuff else.
Yeah.
But you listen,
Definitely.
I always say this to people when when they say, "Oh yeah, why have I set this up and all this?" And I always say, you know what, it's therapy for me. I'm here talking about something I've struggled with,
Yeah.
and something we're all dealing with to some level. I think everyone's got some type of, everyone, we got brains and we have mental problems to an extent, like the anxiety and things like that. It's a lot more in others. Some people have bigger problems. You may, butterflies in your stomach. Used to feel that as a child. Saying it's a form of anxiety. So I think it's just levels to it, rather than people think, oh, it's only some people suffer. I think we all have to keep it in check.
And I think at some point in our life, we'll all find a point where it gets worse. We'll all go through something where our anxiety will heighten. And that's okay, and that's normal, but it's just about being able to cope with it and deal with it and know the correct methods of dealing with your emotions.
Back to self-awareness. That's why, when you mentioned CBT should be specific to the person, an individual, to someone's needs. It's that, because what's going to work for you might not work for me, and vice versa. So it's being self-aware and knowing what triggers you and knowing what makes you feel happier and better mood, and knowing what you need to do in order to get you to a nice positive place. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's what we're all searching for, is happiness.
100%. There's no right or wrong answer in how you get there either, is there? Like, I'm sure you know that yourself, that your methods of coping will be totally different to somebody else's, and that's 100% okay as well.
Definitely. So you started up Healthy Heads UK. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So I've decided to take the plunge and to set up Healthy Heads UK. So I'm hoping to become like a coach. So I will go into places, for example, businesses, different companies, and offer like speeches for their employees to encourage them to look after their well-being, to encourage the employer to take some time to think about your employees' mental health. Because I've heard and I've done research on different topics from different companies where employees don't feel looked after in terms of mental health. For example, phoning in if you're feeling unwell and not feeling like you can say, I'm struggling with my mental health today. It's not really an option. It hasn't been before. Why is that? And I want to change that, because it's about being honest. And I feel like if you can't be honest to somebody, you can't be honest to yourself. And that's part of dealing with your mental health, is to admit that you need some time out, or that you're going through this struggle, and constantly having to lie and not be honest about why you're having this day off and whatnot. It's not going to benefit you. It's going to make things harder, because you're putting that battle up for yourself, if you see what I mean. So yeah, just kind of like going to companies, different businesses, offering support for themselves and for their employees. And then also like on a one-to-one level. So for example, if someone was to come across my page and they're feeling like they're struggling with something, they can give me a call, and we can text back and forward, email, whatever it is, Zoom call, meet up, whatever. And I can just offer them some support and hopefully bring them through that challenging time. Because sometimes it can be like a couple of days that people struggle. It can be weeks, months, even years. So whatever it is, I just feel like I could be there to help people. I just don't want people to lose family members the way we did, because it's horrible. It's the worst thing. And whilst I'm still here now to tell the story of the loss that I went through and the way I struggled, I'd rather spend my time now making a difference by talking about what's happened to me, to encourage people that they can get through this. So yeah, Healthy Heads UK. So it will just all be about positive quotes, motivational like theories, like how we can get through a challenging day.
Okay.
And equally, at the end of the day, I'm there for anyone that feels that they need to talk to me at any time, and just making mental health something that we talk about more. I'm going to do like different campaigns, like where I'm living at the moment, try and get in touch with different people, and just raise awareness really, and give people support that they need and they deserve.
Another safe place.
Definitely.
And yeah, I'm all for that, you know, and, you know, more places where people could, you know, especially as a man, men's mental health, you know, we suffer in silence. We feel we can overcome it, and we feel, you know, we'll be looked down upon, and, you know, it'd be seen as us being less of a man if we are suffering with mental health, because we, you know, going back to, you know, the whole ancestry and that, and going further back, you know, as men, you're meant to be the protector, provider, you know, the person who's, you know, strong, you know, and it's seen as a weakness, which is nonsense, of course. It's just how we feel, but that's all the stigma around it. So, you know, we suffer in silence, and that's what I've tried to do on the King's Forum as well. Is just a platform for people to, you know, speak their truth, and a safe place for them to do so without judgment, you know, and that's all we want. We just want people to be healthy, you know, mind, body and soul, and be living happy, fruitful lives, you know, 100%. Instead of stuff in silence and, you know, holding all this weight and
suppressing those feelings. Definitely.
You know, so yeah, hopefully great that you've set up Healthy Heads, and I'll do what I can to support that as much as I can.
That'd be great, thank you. And likewise with your YouTube channel as well, wherever I can help, I will do.
Thank you very much. And yeah, it's been a pleasure, Charlotte. Thank you for sharing and, you know, speaking your truth on the King's Forum. You're welcome back. I'm sure we'll be collaborating a lot more in the future.
Definitely.
Just shout out all your social platforms that you're on, and I'll put it in the description as well.
Yeah, so if everyone that's watching this could follow at healthyheads.uk, I'd be so grateful. So at the moment, as we're recording this, I've only got the one video out there, but I'm constantly at the moment making content, which I'll be releasing later today and then for the rest of the week. So yeah, please give it a follow, like my videos, and share it with all your friends and family. And yeah, let's do this.
Oh, please.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow Healthy Heads UK. And thank you very much, Charlotte. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.